In my opinion, what Mark Carney is currently doing while running for Liberal leadership should be illegal or at the very least trigger an ethics investigation. Mark Carney has never been elected to anything in Canada. He has never been a city councillor, an MLA, an MP, nothing. And yet he is basically being treated like he is already the prime minister. This should be illegal in the sense that why are cabinet ministers briefing him on a daily basis on what's going on with trade issues with the US when he has no actual power? He has no authority in this country, and yet Trudeau's team seems to be completely angling this leadership to determine who's going to be the next prime minister for Mark Carney and preemptively treating him like he's already won, which obviously also warps the entire race because when you're basically already doing the job as prime minister, well, it makes it more likely that people in the Liberal Party are going to vote for you to be the prime minister because you're already the de facto guy. I'm going to play you this clip in just a second. It's absolutely insane. But before we get into that, guys, remember to like the video, leave a comment, and if you're not yet a subscriber to the National Telegraph, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 100,000 new subscribers by the end of the year. But without further ado, here is Mark Carney talking to the press at a press conference just this morning.
And you say you've been speaking with the ministers about tariffs. What advice are you giving them? Are you giving briefings? What exactly are those conversations like?
Well, I'm, just to be clear, fully support the exceptional work of our Foreign Minister, Melanie Joly, our Finance Minister, Dominic LeBlanc, Public Safety Minister, David McGuinty, Industry Minister, François-Philippe Champagne, and all the ministers. There's a huge Team Canada effort going on. They keep me informed kindly. I provide some perspective on that, and particularly with respect to where we go from here, the next phase of potential discussions that are likely to extend beyond the month of February and well into the spring. Thank you.
Why is he being informed on like long-term plans or day-to-day stuff that the ministers are doing? I would understand if Karina Gould is being briefed because she is running for leadership, but she's also a cabinet minister herself. Obviously, you can't keep a cabinet minister in the dark while they're running for the leadership. But Carney has just as much like authority to be briefed as Frank Baylis, as Ruby Dalla, as Chrystia Freeland. Chrystia Freeland, I guarantee, is being kept in the dark. But this is why I think that either this should be illegal, that while you're not actually in office, you cannot receive daily briefings. Obviously, if you know a cabinet minister, it's not illegal for them to tell you something. But the fact that the prime minister's office is basically treating you as if you're a decision maker when you literally don't have any authority, that should be something where there's a fine associated with it. That there should be an ethics investigation to say, is the government basically trying to warp an internal party election to determine who's going to be the prime minister for this random unelected guy? This is what kind of people mean when they have problems with the influence of organizations like the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. It's that any outside organization, especially an international organization that has nothing to do with Canada on a fundamental level, that they shouldn't be having a direct ear to people in the government. Obviously, people have friends, but obviously, all your friends are not all overseas and they all happen to be these proto socialists over at the WEF. And this is what's going on with Carney right now. Why is this guy just in the cabinet effectively? I know he used to be an advisor to Justin Trudeau, but even that was sketchy. Why is he effectively overruling Chrystia Freeland when she's the finance minister? Like, I guess I don't mind if Freeland gets overruled as finance minister, but you'd have to debate whether or not Carney or Freeland would make a worse finance minister. I'm not saying like Freeland's untouchable at her job and she's good. She sucks at her job. But it would be nice if the person who's literally in the finance minister's role would be the person actually making financial decisions with the prime minister. But in Canada, everything is so bureaucratic run or so influencer run. There's a lot of international influencers like Mark Carney telling the government what to do. And now that he's running for leadership, he's just kind of able to act as if he's already sitting in Justin Trudeau's chair. which goes to my thesis that Mark Carney is just Justin Trudeau's fourth term in office. Trudeau and his people know that there's no way for them to win with Trudeau still helming the party into the 2025 federal election. Look at the polls. They're still not going to win, spoiler alert. But to get add legitimacy, they're throwing in a new guy, but he's still basically doing everything that Justin Trudeau wants. Probably because a lot of Team Trudeau wouldn't be backing Mark Carney without the blessing of Justin Trudeau. Because you can tell if Justin Trudeau didn't want Mark Carney as the leader, he could throw a wrench in the guy's spokes right now. Justin Trudeau might be incompetent. At the same time, he's also probably at least politically savvy in knowing how to push on certain pressure points. But again, this is something where we probably need a law passed that bars people who are not actually in the government from getting this up to date. A one-for-one similar briefing to cabinet ministers is not okay. Anyways, here's something else he said during this press conference. This is where I don't understand why liberals think this is the guy who's going to somehow fix their polling. He's so out of touch with where the average Canadian is right now on fiscal issues and social issues. He thinks that woke is still a good thing, and that's going to win him votes, when in fact, being a woke politician is why Justin Trudeau ended up going down in flames in terms of his popularity. He was so in a woke bubble, he didn't realize when his policies were completely out of step with the average Canadian who just wanted to be able to do their own thing again and didn't want a government minder looking over their shoulder, especially when it came to their social life.
Now, the one thing I've learned over the many years of managing crises is that plan beats no plan. Plans create focus, discipline, and the energy that major changes a crisis demands. And make no mistake, we are in a crisis. We can do little to change the external forces that are causing it, but we can act as Canadians. There's a fever gripping America. And while it rages, Canadians will remain resolute and true to our values.
Honestly, what a horrible comment to make. You're running to be the Prime Minister of Canada. We just had a contentious trade situation with the United States over issues of border security and defense spending, and now you're saying there is a fever gripping America. There is a sickness gripping America. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be very popular with the United States administration, and I don't need Canadian leaders to be trying to pander to the US. They shouldn't. But there is this weird liberal condition where for some reason you have to constantly attack Donald Trump and the MAGA people when it doesn't help us at all. In fact, it's counterproductive. Does it appeal to a certain Eastern Canadian or person in downtown Vancouver who wants to define what it is to be Canadian as being not American? Sure, but when actual jobs are on the line and when relationships are on the line and we are, just saying it, the weaker power between the two, maybe shut your mouth when we are talking about the United States unless you're going to say something neutral or nice, because that is Canada's, biggest ally. But whatever, he's going to go into all the Trump's anti-woke and that makes him bad stuff.
While America engages in a war on woke, Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness. While America shuns the vulnerable, we will continue to show solidarity with one another.
What does he mean by inclusiveness and the vulnerable? Is he talking about illegal immigrants? Because I'm not signing up to a new prime minister who doesn't want to remove people who shouldn't be here. Because do you think that Mark Carney's ever going to actually expel someone who overstays a visa, or even if they get caught committing a criminal act, have them deported? No, not a chance. Imagine actually saying, well, the U.S. fights a war in woke. We're going to keep valuing inclusiveness. Sure, Mark, you're the only inclusive person on this planet. Yes, Donald Trump is an evil goblin because he's not doesn't believe in woke cultural Marxism. And again, people can have problems with Trump, obviously. There's a lot of character flaws in Donald Trump. He is a very complex man. At the same time, the idea that we always the liberal need to be the opposite of Trump is why these people are not popular at all. And as a conservative, I'm fine with it if they want to scuff this next election as hard as possible. But at some point, the liberals do need to come back down to earth and stop just being the not Trump people, especially when you're not in the United States.
While America attempts to turn back the clock, Canadians will build sustainability for future generations.
That's why they're way ahead of us on every single economic metric, because we're so ahead of them. They're turning back the clock. They're going back to slavery times. Of course, Mark, of course.
Before America's fever passes, we must seize this moment for Canada. This is the time to change. This is our time to build. This is the time for Canada.
Mark Carney is one of the most boring humans on the planet. It is bad for your health to watch him for more than 5 minutes at a time without pausing, because the biggest flaw to his campaign, on top of the fact that he's just unapologetically woke at a time where people are so tired of it, on top of the fact that he's a central banking elitist, on top of the fact that he's in favor of central bank digital currency and all this stuff, he is Mr. Central Bank Digital Currency. On top of all that stuff being extremely unpopular right now, he is just a boring human being. His intonation just sounds like this. Guys, it's our time to seize the day. Carpe diem. We're going to grab that brass ring and bring Canada to new heights. Because we are not going to be turning back the clock. It's like, Mark, prick yourself in the cheeks to bring some color back to your face and act like you care. It's almost like he knows that he's already the prime minister and the entire leadership is a formality, because he is not campaigning like he actually fears Chrystia Freeland or Ruby Dalla or Frank Bayless or Karina Gould. I still think he could lose this thing, and it demonstrates the hubris of him. But my goodness, the energy just demonstrates the contempt for the actual voting process. And that's one thing that is not very popular in elections: entitlement. That is where I've even seen good politicians go down to flaming defeat when they think that people should just be reelecting me because I'm very good at my job. Maybe they are, but acting like that is a great way of getting absolutely slaughtered at the polls. Anyways, that should be mostly it for me today, guys. I just want to quickly do an update. I just got back from Vancouver. My goodness, going from Calgary to Vancouver was one of the worst airport experiences of my life. Nobody's fault in particular. It's just my flight kept getting delayed, and it was delayed by such small increments. I was never just going to go home. So I was stuck in the airport for 16 hours straight waiting to get on an actual airplane. And then I got there and it was all cool. I got to see Pierre Poilievre at a fundraiser and get a better photo than I had previously. Because before I had this awful photo, this is the last one I ever took with him, where I look like I have like a mad scientist haircut. But my goodness, Poilievre betrayed me and he went to go get laser eye surgery. And now I'm the only one with glasses between the two of us. Fun event out there. I gave him a little bit of information about how Mark Carney is in favor of CBDCs. I actually was the original person with the other people at the National Telegraph to get Pierre Poilievre to add a plank to his leadership platform in 2022 that he has carried forward into his actual leadership of the party to ban central bank digital currencies. And I think it is such a gaping attack line on Mark Carney that he is in favor of central bank digital currencies. I have found an article where he was advocating for it, saying, well, if the government doesn't do this and heavily regulate a stable coin, which is what a digital currency would be, if the government doesn't do it, then big tech's going to do it. I'm like, no, they're not. What big tech company, even the biggest ones on the planet, could actually be able to manage its own currency? And by the way, at least if a private entity did it, you don't have to engage with them. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. I probably wouldn't do it. A central bank digital currency is like a gaping privacy violation. It is just the government, like you are begging for the government to freeze your bank account over something stupid or tax you extra because you bought products the government doesn't like if you end up approving a CBDC. I saw an article where Mark Carney was quoted advocating for why CBDCs would be good, and then they quoted another central banker who was like proposed, like they asked them about CBDCs. He is a full-on, Keynesian central banker. And even this guy was like CBDCs. No, that's like a massive civil liberties and privacy issue. But Mark Carney thinks it's a great idea. That's a big thing that Mark Carney needs to be slammed on. But anyways, that should be it for me there, guys. You guys remember to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later covering other stuff that happened in this last day. Every time I'm traveling, there's a bunch of stuff, and then I can't cover it all because I had a bunch of my day eaten up. I have to go help out with an event right now. Craziness. I literally just got off an airplane like an hour and a half before I started the camera up here. But anyways, so that's it for me, guys. See you later.